Hi guys, and welcome to another Elementor video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, we've got a little hover effect for you today. We've got this title and icon. When we hover over, it's going to slide up to reveal some text. We've done this recently for a client on a client site. We did it recently with a Divi theme, but it converts quite nicely to the Elementor theme. The great thing about these hover effects on computer desktops is if people are mousing around your site and something like this happens, it's going to get their attention quickly, which is what you want. And that's a nice little feature to have on a site. Really easy to do, don't need any extra plugins for this today, but we are going to be doing a bit of CSS coding. Don't let that put you off though. Any coding we do, I'll put below the video and you're welcome to use it. And this will work just as well with the free version of Elementor as it does with the premium version. Alright, well let's get started. I've actually got this page open with my Elementor. And I've got a section with 3 columns here. Let's work on this third column over here. And I'm going to go and grab an icon module purely because it's got an icon. I'm going to drag it over here, and like I say, this is available in both the free and the pro version. I'm not going to change anything, the heading or the title here. You can choose whatever font you want from the font library here. You can put it in a search if you're looking for something specific up there. And there's plenty of them. They use the fantastic font awesomes for this. So let's change that little icon there. I'm going to leave this and this exactly as it is. If you want to link your modules to somewhere, put your link in here. Best practices, if you're linking to your own site, keep it in the same window, just leave it as is. If you're linking off site, open it in a new window so your site stays open. And my icon position, I'd like that to be on the left hand side there. And the title's going to be an H3, that's fine for me at the moment. I might make it a little bit smaller so it all fits on there. So let's close up the icon and let's go to our style here. I'm going to go down to the content. I'm going to make that title a little bit smaller. Typography right here, title. I'm going to hit the little pencil icon and let's make it not crazy small, but I want it to fit all in there. So make it 27 pixels. That's fine. And I might have it uppercase. Great, that's still going to fit there fine. But what I want to do is I want to put a background in this. So we've got the icon in one color and the actual text in another color. I'll make this text middle aligned, so I'm going to hit the center align button there. Great. Now let's go over to our advanced and background. Here's the background. So I'm going to hit the little icon over here for a gradient. You've got classic or you've got gradient. I'm hitting the gradient. For the first color, I'm going to make it black. And for the second color, I'm going to leave it exactly like it is right there with the red. Obviously, you choose whatever color you want. Now, I want it linear, but I want it to be black on the left and red on the right, so I can change the angle of it to about 90 degrees should do it. There we go, we've got the black on the left and the red on the right, but I actually want them to be separated. So if we put our locations at the same point for each color, they'll be separated. So we'll take this down to about here and that to about there. I want a little bit less because I want it to be behind the title there, so take it down to, so we'll say 15, and we'll take this one down to 15. They should be identical and straight line separating them. There we go, and our little icon's gonna fit there, and we've got 2 different colors. Okay, what I want is I want to push this icon down slightly and I want to pull this heading up slightly, so we've got to use a bit of CSS for this. Let's save what we've got. I'm going to update. And then I'm going to go over and check it out on the page. Okay, well let's move these things where we want them. So I'm going to inspect the icon right here. I'm using Google Chrome with the great inspector tool, so I'm right clicking and inspecting it. Most browsers have this nowadays, but if your browser doesn't, then Google Chrome is a free download. So we're on the icon, so it's got a little eye there. So let's give it a bit of padding at the top. Let's perhaps push it down by 10 pixels, that is. Yeah, that's fine. And we could give it a bit of padding left and right just to give it a bit of separation there, or a bit of margin perhaps. Let's give it a margin left. Let's say 10 pixels. That's fine. We'll have to adjust. That's pushed everything across a little bit. We'll have to adjust the color a bit there. And we'll give it a bit more margin on the right to push that writing just across a little bit more. So margin right, say 20 pixels. That's okay, I think. We can check our padding in a moment. We just need to readjust this. So let's make this permanent now, because with the Chrome Inspector, if I was to refresh now, it would go back to how it was. So I want to copy everything that we've done, and we need to give our little element here a CSS ID so we can target the icon within it. So I've copied this. If I refresh now, you'll see it go back to how it was. There we go. Let's make our changes permanent. We'll go back to here. Now, if you're using the free version, you need to write this CSS in your customizer. For the free version, go to Dashboard, Appearance, Customize, and you can write your additional CSS in the additional CSS panel at the bottom there. It'll work exactly the same way. I've got the Pro version installed, and for convenience I'm going to write it on the page so we can see what's going on here. Okay, so we need to give this a class and then apply that CSS to it. So let's go with the Advanced tab. We're on the icon box, Advanced drop down at the top here, CSS class. Let's give it icon TT for icon two-tone. Obviously give yours whatever name you want to give it. It's got to be unique and it wants to make some kind of sense to you. So I'm going to copy that, Control C, go to my custom CSS. So all class names need a period or dot in front of them, so it's dot, and then the class name, ictt. Then we're targeting the icon. Remember we were targeting the icon, the I right there. So we need to put I. Open and close some curly brackets. And inside we can paste that bit of code that we copied from the Chrome Inspector just now. Okay, great. Well, I might adjust that and pull this back a little bit. I might take that down to 10 pixels. The margin right, so it's not quite as far away. Great. Now I'm actually going to go into our regular settings right here. I'm going to give it a bit of padding all around. So I'm on the Advanced tab, the Advanced drop down. Here there's some padding. I'm going to uncheck this because I don't want to do them all at once. And I want to give it, say, 20 pixels padding on the right. And let's give it quite a lot on the bottom. Say 50. That's okay. We might want to adjust that. Now I need to pull this upwards and adjust our color right there. So while we're in here, let's do the color first. There's our background. And remember, we just need to change the location to make it a bit bigger. At 20 is fine. We'll put them both at the same one, so it's a nice solid line. Okay, let's update that, and we'll pull our little title up there a little bit. Now let's just inspect here the title. Well, I know it's going to be an H3. There it is. So we've got our CSS class for this, so we need to target our class plus the H3 and just pull it up a little bit. So let's do that. Back to our custom CSS here. And class name, so it's got to be a dot, ictt, and we're targeting the H3. So let's open and close some curly brackets there. And remember, all this code's down below if you're having trouble following along in real time. And what do we want to do? Let's try margin top. Let's try 25 pixels. It's close. We'll pull it up a little bit more than that. So let's try 20 pixels. That's pretty much there, even a bit less. Let's try 18. I want it kind of aligned with that icon. Yeah, that's going to do, and we've got enough gap at the bottom that we can push this down when we need to. Of course, it's shortened up here, but that's fine. Alright, last thing that we really need to do to this is just make these the colors that we want them. So I'm going to go into Style. Here's the icon, here's the content. Title, I want that to be white in color. That's fine. And the description, I want that also to be in white because that will stand out nicely against there. Great. Let's just save that. And now let's go into the column and put our image in that we want to see initially. Now if you've watched any of my hover effects image to text, most of the time the image is going to reside in the column rather than the actual background of the widget itself. So blue tab for the widget, dark tab for the column. I'm going to go into the column. I'm going to go to Style. Go background, background type. I'm going to hit the little paintbrush here. I'm going to add an image. Use a different one. Choose this one. Okay, and you can just see it behind there because it's pulling in the height from the height of the one that we've got over here in the same row. And it's kind of spilling out a bit. Position, I'm going to leave it just as it is, which is top left as default. Don't want it to repeat. Don't want it to be scrolled or fixed. Size wise though, I want it to cover, so it's the whole picture right there. Now we want to adjust it so there's nothing spilling out here. And also we'll give it a fixed height so we can push and manipulate our little widget here. Now to get rid of this, we've got a bit of padding going on there. So let's go over to our advanced tab. We're still in the column. Now I'm going to put a 0 in the padding. I've got the little chain check there so it'll do all 4 at once. That's taken away any padding, but for separation, in case we want to put a third one in here, I'm going to give it 10 pixel round margin so we can separate like that. Great. Now I've got to write a bit of CSS for the column here, and again, remember if you're using the free version, you'll need to put it in your additional CSS in your theme customizer right here. So the first thing we need to do before we can write some CSS is give it a class. So I'm going to call it icon, IC, two-tone, col. So it's icon two-tone column right there. I've got that. Go down to our custom CSS. It's a class name, so again we need a period, then the class name itself. And let's open and close some curly brackets. And inside we can write the code we want. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make it 300 pixels tall. So it should fill out that bit of photograph right there. So we'll go height, colon, 300 pixels. Semicolon. Now you won't see any difference because this is 300. And I'm going to say overflow, colon, hidden. And the reason I'm doing this, overflow is anything that pokes out from a column, even left, right, up and down. We're going to be pushing this down so we can just see the icon and the title. So half of it's going to be hanging out down the bottom here, but we don't want to see that, and that's why I'm hiding the overflow, because anything that falls out of the 300 pixel tall column there is overflow. Great, so that should work. Let's go back into our column now. I've just got to adjust the padding on the bottom, give it a bit more. And then we'll pop it down to where we want and change that icon color too. So I'm back in the icon box. Let's make the icon white while I'm right here. There we go, fantastic. Now I need to go over to my advanced. I'm going to give it more padding on the bottom. I'm going to double that. There we go, that fills that out nicely. Now we can push this down to reveal the image, but we're actually going to do this with a bit of CSS rather than here because we've got no hover. We can't do a hover on this and make two lots. So we've already given this the class of ictt, so it should be easy to do. Let's go down here, class name, period, ictt for icon two-tone. Open and close some curly brackets. And what do we want it to do? Well, I know that's 300, so let's try pushing it down by 250 and see how much it reveals. So I'm going to say margin top 250 pixels. A little bit too much there. Let's try 200. Not quite enough. 220. It's getting there. That's almost spot on. In fact, I'm going to leave that just like it is. I think that'll work for me. Then I'm going to copy this, the whole thing from the dot or the period to the closing curly bracket. I'm going to drop down a couple. After the T of ictt, no gap, I'm going to put a colon, then no gap again, the word hover, we can set a hover state. And I want that to be 0. As you can see, when we hover over that, it's going back up the top there. But it's happening really, really quickly. I want to slow it down a bit so it's a bit more graceful, perhaps like this one. So we can do that with a bit of transition duration. And we put that in the regular state, not the hover state. So underneath our 220 right there, transition. That's actually prompted us down here, so I'll click on that. And let's give it 0.7 seconds, just under 3/4 of a second. There we go. Now when we hover over, it's a little bit more graceful. And I kind of like to see a bit of the image behind there, but that's entirely up to you. And if you want to achieve that, we can just take the opacity down on those two gradient colors there. So still in the icon box, let's go up to background. Here's our first color. I don't want to take it down too much, just take it down perhaps to about there. You can see a hint of it around there, maybe a little bit more. You can see a hint of it through there, and we'll do similar to the red. And you can see a hint of the picture through there. So there we go. We're pretty much done. Let's save our changes. Take a look. And there we are. There's our little icon box. With a two-tone background. It slides up to reveal the content when you hover over it. And of course, if you want to reproduce this, you just give it the class, give your next box the same class, and all the CSS is already written. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, this has been Jamie with System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.